Okay, let's look at some different types of problems that are starting to involve some parentheses. So problem number 2A, we have 60 is equal to 2 times parentheses 8x plus 6. Now I know that this setup may bother some of you. You can always move that equals 60 over to the other side. So 2 times 8x plus 6 equal to 60. Because I know that when I was in classes, my teachers drilled in that the variables, the letters had to be on the left-hand side. So you can work with the equation as is, or you can rewrite it where the equal 60 is on the right-hand side. Either way is fine. Whenever we have the parentheses, we're going to have distribution. Distribution is a fancy way of saying that we need to push that 2 all the way through the parentheses, which means we're going to take 2 times 8x plus 2 times the 6 equals, we're not going to multiply 60 times 2 because 60 was not in the parentheses. And some of you may be able to skip that step and go to the next one. That's fine. Way to use your mental math. 2 times 8x gets us 16x plus, bring down our plus. 2 times 6 gets us 12 and carry down our equals 60. Notice after we distribute the 2, we don't have a parenthesis anymore. Okay. Now we're back to equations like we've been working with, and we need to get the x by itself. First, we need to make sure that like terms are moved to the same side. So all of our variables on one side, all of our numbers on the other. Since we're adding 12, we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. Minus 16x is going to carry down. Positive 12 minus 12 gets us plus 0, so we don't need to worry about it. 16 minus 12 gets us 48. One more step. We have 16 times x equal to 48. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we are going to divide both sides by 16. 16 divided by 16 gets us 1. And again, you can write 1x or just x. And 48 divided by 16 gets us 3. So our answer is x equal to 3. And you can check this answer the same way that we did in our previous ones by plugging 3 in for x and using your order of operations to simplify. In problem 2b, we have the negative of parentheses 8w plus 3 minus 8 equal to 1. There's a couple of different ways of looking at this negative out front. Some students like to look at it as a negative that just needs to be pushed all the way through, which means we're going to change everybody's signs. Other students don't like just the negative being there, and they'll do a -1 because that hasn't changed anything, but it does make it easier for them to distribute. So if we distribute a -1, we're going to have -1 times our 8w plus -1 times our 3. That -8 was not in the parentheses, so I'm not going to multiply him by -1. And then when I simplify these, -1 times 8w gets us -8w. Plus -1 times -3 is -3. I don't like to write plus a negative, so I'm just going to write -3. Don't forget to bring your -8. Still in the party, down to the next line, and we're gonna have that equal to 1. Notice that by distributing the -1, I would get the same thing if I just changed the signs of everybody in the parentheses. Instead of positive 8W, I have negative 8W. Instead of positive 3, we have negative 3. No more parentheses because we're done with the distribution. But notice on the left-hand side of the equation, we have like terms. -3 and -8 are like terms because they're both constants, they're both regular numbers. So we need to combine those like terms. The -8W is not a like term, so he's just gonna follow along. We're not gonna change him. But our -3 minus 8, they're on the same side. When you're on the same side in a war, you combine all your resources. So we're going to combine -3 minus 8 as we see it, and we get -11. And that's 1. Now we need to move all of our numbers to the right-hand side. We already have our letters to the left. We're subtracting 11, which means that we need to add 11 in the sides because we are changing sides of the equation. Whenever you change sides, you change signs. Okay. -8W is still along for the ride, comes on down. -11 plus 11 gets us +0, so that goes away. 1 plus 12, or sorry, 1 plus 11 gets us 12. There we go. And now we have -8W equal to 12. To get that W by itself, we need to divide both sides by -8. -8 divided by -8 gets us 1. And we have W is equal to -12 over 8. Now, when you have a negative in the bottom of a fraction, we don't like that. It's considered mathematically ugly. So you can bring it out front, which would be like -12 all over 8 with the negative out in front of the fraction line. But when I do that, it always seems to go into my fraction line, which is why I don't do that way. I just bring my negative up top. But here, whenever we have a fraction, we need to simplify it. So you can put this into your calculator and convert back to a fraction, unless they ask for a decimal. Both these numbers are divisible by 4, which means we're going to get W is equal to -3/2. So unless the directions ask for a decimal, give them the simplified fraction answer. Moving on to our next one. We have 6 minus 5 times -8R plus 8 equals -R plus 7. Okay. So with this problem, I know that you are tempted to combine the 6 minus 5. Don't do it because our order of operations, which you probably learned as PEMDAS, but back in the day when things were cool, it was please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Oops. So again, you probably learned it as PEMDAS, but parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, which can switch order, and addition, subtraction. This tells us that we need to take care of the parentheses first. Inside the parentheses, there's nothing to combine, but we do have the -5 out front. We need to distribute that -5 all the way through the parentheses. My 6 is not included, so I'm going to bring him down. We're going to have our -5 times the -8R minus 5 or negative 5 times our 8. And that is going to be equal to negative r plus 7. Remember, only who is in the parentheses gets multiplied by the negative 5. Let's go ahead and simplify, perform the arithmetic. We have 6, negative 5 times negative 8 is a positive 40. Since it's positive, we're going to put plus 40r. That's kind of a weird looking 40r. So let's try that again. 40r. There we go. And negative 5 times positive 8 gets us a negative 40. And that's equal to negative r plus 7. We need to figure out our like terms on either side. Okay. On the left-hand side, since we have 3 terms, we're hoping that we have some like terms. Notice that our 40r is the only guy with an r on the left. So we're going to leave him alone. But our 6 and our negative 40 are like terms because they're both constant terms. 6 minus 40 gets us a negative 34. And that is equal to negative r plus 7. We need to move all of our variables to one side, all of our numbers to the other, because we have combined like terms on either side. Notice that we have one variable and one constant on either side of the equation. So now variables on one side, numbers on the other. Since I have a negative r on the right-hand side, I am going to add r to both sides of my equation. Left-hand side, negative r plus r gets me 0, so we don't care about it. Remember that r is the same thing as 1r. So I could have written, instead of plus r, we could do plus 1r. And that may help you when combining the 40r and the 1r, because we get 41r. And then bring down our minus 34 equal to 7. Still need to get all of our numbers to one side, all of our variables on the other. We have our 41r on the left. We need to move the 34. So we are going to add 34 to both sides of our equation, the opposite of subtraction. Left-hand side, negative 34 plus 34 gets us plus 0. And we don't have to write plus 0. So 41r is equal to 7 plus 34 gets us 41. Not done yet because there's still a number other than 1 attached to the r. Because we have 41 times r, we're going to divide both sides by 41. 41 divided by 41 is 1. So you can, again, write 1r if you would like. Bring down our equal. 41 divided by 41 is 1. And you can write this as r equal to 1. You can't drop the 1 on the right-hand side because it's not a coefficient. It's an actual constant number.